I mean, the truth is, you're never going to trust yourself if you keep outsourcing every decision, every thought, every feeling to the people around you.
When you're outsourcing every thought, decision, feeling, or what you feel is okay to experience to everyone around you, you're literally giving away yourself. You're abandoning yourself. We got to stop doing that.
Hey, everybody, it's Bianca.
Welcome back, Evolvers. It's Emilia for episode 521, How to Trust Yourself and Eliminate Self-Doubt. This is a topic that right before we got recording, Bianca, you had mentioned this is what so many Evolvers struggle with at one point or another in their journey. And we're excited to be able to share with you what we've learned, not only in our personal journeys, but also in the clinical setting where as practitioners, we have helped so many people develop a sense of self and a strong sense of self at that. And to that end, Bianca, I was just reading through the couple of minutes we had in between our recording here. I was reading through the Out of the Mud group chat. So for anyone for context that's new to the Evolve community, we have an Out of the Mud group chat that's private group chat to Evolvers who join us at our free live monthly event. And over the last couple of months, we have been doing a 30-day challenge, and the members are connecting really beautifully there. And I was reading some of the messages, obviously keeping that anonymous there, but I just had a moment and reading some of them and just how they're all sharing personal stories and how past versions of themselves used to essentially make a decision and then question that. And now just kind of recalling some of their decisions that were really hard to make, but really proud of. And that has ultimately brought them closer in alignment with themselves. And I think that those messages and me recounting that just really echo how much it is so challenging to trust yourself when we grow up in this world that is constantly, as you know, from the youngest age, even before we're verbal, very much taught to, depending on the culture, but more often than not, it's a through line through all cultures, to trust your elders, to trust the people in authority or people who are older than you, and trust that over your own signals that even come up and arise in your body. So much so that by the time you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, which is where a lot of evolvers start to turn towards us through the pain or the challenges that they're having, they're no longer willing to tolerate that. It's this question of, who am I? What is my sense of self, and returning back to some of those old roots. And a lot of the times it's not easy, it's not smooth, and it's quite bumpy, because how to trust yourself starts with realizing what got in the way of that in the first place. And a lot of that started from a really young age.
Well, most of the people in that group shared, which, by the way, if you are interested in becoming a member of that group, send Emilia or I a DM and we will invite you to the group. It's a private group. It's kind of an exclusive group. We don't really allow everybody into that. We really try to filter that group and make sure that it's actually people who are into growth, willing to do the work, and also have a high level of respect for each other and one another. So we don't tolerate BS in that group. So if you're interested in being a part of it, send us a DM, let us know. We will invite you to it if you're an aligned fit. But through combing through those messages, so I put a video up there yesterday, and I'm trying to lean into that more because I always get positive feedback whenever I do that.
Yeah.
And it got really good feedback. And what I had sent in that chat was, I had a pretty rough day on Sunday or Saturday night. And I was like on the struggle bus. Sunday morning came, and basically what I said in that video was, okay, I have a choice to make. What can I do? And what I had said in that video, and what everyone kind of started talking about in the aftermath of that, was how they struggle so much doing that because of exactly what you said. They grew up in homes around people, with families, in cultures, in societies, with messages basically telling them, don't trust yourself, outsource all of your thoughts, all of your feelings, all of everything, because we know what's best for you and we want you to be a certain way. that is hands down one of the biggest reasons why we don't learn how to trust ourselves and why we experience these massive amounts of self-doubt. Because when every time, to your point, you have a feeling pop up or you have a experience come up or a thought and it's being denied, rejected, ignored, dismissed, so on and so forth, you learn, oh, okay, I can't trust me. I can't rely on me. I can't depend on me. And that's inevitably what gets us hurt and taken advantage of by other people, which is what's happened to a lot of the members in the group that they've really vulnerably shared and expressed.
Yeah, truly. I just did a video that's going to be launching tomorrow. And by the time we record this, it will be well long in the past, but it'll be live May 19th on Eve, which is the YouTube video that I kind of passion project outside of this that I've been developing to essentially make sure that if there's any unfinished business that I feel like I have with a client, it's like, can I just slide you this video because this is what I was trying to say, or this is what we were talking about. And the topic specifically was the real reason you don't trust yourself, EV9. And Bianca, the outsourcing word that you're saying was something that I held so prevalent in that conversation with me versus me, because what I see and what I've personally experienced and what we've seen with so many people is that the outsourcing is a real challenge where it's all well and dandy because you might be making decisions that you relieve yourself of the quote unquote pressure to the consequences because you didn't take full responsibility, or you just outsourced it to your parents to make the decision, or your siblings to make a decision, or your coaches, your therapists, your team members, etc. You just kind of like let everyone else make the decisions for you. And the whiplash happens only because you end up so far outside of alignment and integrity with who you aspire to be. But the challenge with that, it's like I picture like a boat drifting and you're so far off course. But it's not just scary because you're off course. You also don't know how to command your own ship, for lack of better words, and get back on course. And so that word outsourcing is just ringing in my head. And on the topic of self-abandonment, like in outsourcing, right? It's really great to get people in your corner to help give and drive input. But when you do so, not being very mindful and conscious about how you're outsourcing your identity, even what you quote unquote should feel, should think, should do, etc., and not driving it through your own thought process, especially now with AI. Like that's a really big problem that I'm seeing, right? The evolvers that we have in our community and the evolvers that will continue to pour into this community, it's a real challenge that sometimes doesn't really bubble to the surface until we're at our 30s or 40s. And so when that happens, the question that I see so often is, how do we reverse? How do we get back on course? How do we actually try to navigate a future path that actually is in alignment with ourselves? And we might be in a job that we hate, with a relationship that is completely void of any emotions and needs not getting met. We might have already had kids at this point. So it can feel like a really big quote unquote transition. But what I want to give every single person in this episode that I did in that one that I had done is it starts in the small moments. And I think that that's such an overlooked aspect when it comes to self-trust, because self-trust is not built in these huge moments and huge decisions where I feel like so many of us have been taught to believe that. It's literally trusting yourself to make a decision, to honor your feelings, to be high level of integrity within yourself, meaning even the emotions that you feel, name them before you go and do something. Like, how close are you to that center point of who you quote unquote are? So I think from my perspective in this episode, starting to develop that, it's kind of twofold. Number one, you recognize that the signal that's coming up in your body, in your mind, in your heart, in your feeling, whatever that is, that's a signal that you've been taught to override, and that's quote unquote self-betrayal. But then number two, recognizing as you're developing a sense of self-trust, you have to also recognize that that betrayal usually resides in that self-doubt. And that self-doubt kind of acts as a second part of you, doubting the original thought that you might have had.
I think the interesting thing too that a lot of people don't really dive into is when you start trying to build that self-trust, it feels like you're betraying the people around you. It feels like you're betraying your family. It feels like you're betraying
Right.
your friends, your partners, whoever. Because if you've had a life where you have outsourced everything,
Yeah.
it feels like you're going against the ideas, the messages, the wants, the desires of the people around you. If they have gotten into the habit, and if you've gotten into the habit of allowing them to dictate your life. And I know that was the case for me severely. As soon as I started making decisions for myself, it's like, am I a bad person?
Oh,
Am I like,
right.
am I doing something wrong here? Are people going to get mad at me? And the uncomfortable truth is, yeah, they are. Because for the first time in your life, you're making decisions that are actually stemming from within you. And that might mean not being a people pleaser anymore, or making decisions that someone else doesn't like because it doesn't directly benefit them in the way that it did previously. Or not even that. It might not even be that direct of like a, I want you to do what I want. But if you make a decision that somebody disagrees with, that might cause tension. It might cause discomfort. And if you have this narrative about yourself that other people know better than me, I can't trust me.
Right.
And you've had experiences in the past where you were like yelled at, punished, shut down, disregarded for trying to make a decision for yourself. Yeah, it's going to feel like crap. You kind of have to betray. How do I say this?
Yeah, it's really tricky. It's really tricky.
You have to be okay with the idea that people are going to feel betrayed because you are actually doing what is in alignment for yourself, probably for the first time. And now, again, major disclaimer. I feel like I have to put this in every episode. This is not for the people who consistently are actually selfish and have a habit of disregarding others. And then they use this as a justification of like, see, Emilia and Bianca told me this. No, no, no.
If you do that, you also have to sign up on our calendar and have a conversation about it.
No, this is for the people who have lived a life truly where the evidence suggests and proves that you have betrayed yourself over and over again because you were conditioned that that was the right thing to do.
I have a visual that's popping up right now that I want to share. And I don't think I've ever told this to you before or publicly spoken about it. Yeah, we're going to start to pull in some of those when they come up. So honoring that. So have I ever told you one of the awards that I had gotten in high school? It wasn't an academic focus, but it was character and personality trait. Have I ever
An
mentioned
award
any of
of some sort?
An award.
No, you have not.
I think about the Grinch whenever I say that. An award. And I like
That's
never
why I
talk
just
about
said that.
awards. Yeah, okay. So,
An award.
Okay, so the reason why I talk about this is not to gloat, but it's to really showcase. And I'm going to try to find a visual. The photo I'm going to try to bring up and have the production team put on screen. And the photo is me really proud, and it's horrible qualities. So just know that it's not the production team. It's literally like picture an old high school newspaper that had color on it, but like really they didn't put a lot of money into their printers. That's kind of what we're talking about. So what was the award? On it, you'll be barely able to make out, but what it says is most dependable. So Emilia in high school, there were these obviously academic awards, but there were also these character, quote unquote, most fill in the blank awards. And I was so proud when I got that award, because to be dependable meant at that time being everyone's quote unquote rock, being dependable by others. Like, you can depend on Emilia. Like, I will be there. I will give the shirt off my back. It doesn't matter what time, there's no question in my mind if you can trust me, if I can be your safe space. And I'm grateful that in some cases that's also continued with me, and I've brought that with me. But why I want to share that is because looking back to this whole conversation, what did I have to do in order to be the most dependable? To where, just think about it for a second, to be the most dependable based on a vote that everyone in our grade had to give. That means that I had to trade off and trade out parts of myself, things that I actually really cared about, to be there for everyone else. And so on the surface, it might seem like a really wonderful award. But as I look at it from this standpoint of reflecting on high school and really seeing what the soft underbelly of that was, again, I'm proud that I have the ability to do that. But I'm not proud of what I traded off in order to receive that type of award. Because what I had to trade off, in hindsight, it's very clear. What I had to trade off was bits and pieces and parts of myself in order to have those votes. And that wasn't conscious, that wasn't intentional, that was conditioned. And I know that everyone can relate to that to some extent. Whether you were the person on the other end that had a different high school experience. There's no doubt in my mind, though, that you had a high school experience that asked or begged to trade off versions of yourself, to break off bits and pieces of yourself, to hide versions of yourselves just to belong and get along with whatever horrible high school crap you went through. Because as an evolver, I know you did. And I've had conversations about it. And the distrust that we build for ourselves, again, we get rewarded for distrusting ourselves. We literally have awards in academic settings and social settings where we're celebrated for how non-individual we are. And that's a great example of that. So I want us all thinking about, when we talk about self-trust, it's regaining. It's not like, for example, my journey was recognizing that it's not that I'm not a dependable person. I can when I choose to be. And it's not like I'm a bad person for not being dependable, because that was something that I had to work through, especially as I started to establish boundaries with family, with friends. And I went no communication for years with certain family members, with certain friendships, and have evolved and outgrown certain things. I've had to battle with that story of, am I a bad person? Because I, instead of being more concerned about being dependable for everyone else, I've shifted that to concern to being the most dependable for myself, for my family, for the people who show up for me every single day, for the things that I need, right? That was a huge shift. And I know I'm not a bad person for that. But whatever your journey is, right, there's going to be those moments that, in the micro moments on the day-to-day, life is going to ask you to build your self-trust or to sneakily break it down for other people and outsource it or give it away, give it to other people. To Bianca, what you were saying earlier, it might feel like you're betraying other people when you actually develop a strong sense of self, when you start to make those micro choices in your own favor, when you start developing a sense of identity that doesn't rely on other people to validate what it is that you can or cannot feel, what it is that you can or cannot do. And that is terrifying, because that's going to go right down to a very sacral root in our entire evolutionary species, our imperative need for belonging and to be a good person in other people's eyes. And so I see you, any evolver that's out there that's struggling with this, that's in the path of this. What I can say as someone who is on the other side of this, but always in this in my own way, grounding in your own self is always going to be a life skill that will pay dividends in the long term. And we can look back at those moments to learn from and live from, or we can let them haunt us and never do anything about that, right? So today is our micro moment. There's many micro moments on the day-to-day for you to cancel those thoughts and or reframe those thoughts that are self-doubting, that will be there, that will crop up, especially when it's hard and you're choosing you or you're choosing to trust yourself. But if I could leave you with one thing from at least my experience, then Bianca, I really want to hear thoughts around this, is building self-trust is when you are no longer willing to outsource or betray yourself. And that's something that I have to consistently remind myself, especially on the tough days.
It's a consistent habit and practice. It's not like you trust yourself once and that's it. It's every single day in the decisions that you make. And when that discomfort comes up, what do you do about it? I have 2 points that I want to make. Number one, to your dependable comment, I think we need to get very clear on the definition of what it means to be dependable. Because in my eyes, you are the most dependable person I've ever met. And not for the reasons that other people think. You're the most dependable person because, number one, you're incredibly consistent in your energy and how you show up. You're dependable in the sense that I don't have to play guessing games with you. You're dependable in the sense that you will bring forward whatever you need to, and I know that we will get through whatever it is that comes up because I know who you are as a person.
Yeah, thanks.
I can depend on you to be a guide, knowing that you're not going to betray yourself for me. And that's what makes you such a dependable guide is the effort you put in walking and talking the practice, and then using that as the example to then show others. So I would agree with the notion that you are the most dependable. It just given a new definition. Like, no, you're not going to break your neck for everyone, nor should you. The other point that I wanted to make, I don't remember where this came from. It was a video, a book, a talk. I don't remember. But I remember hearing this story, or this speaker, author, whomever, and they were talking about obituaries. And they said, listen to the way that people talk about people in obituaries and what they say. And the people that get the most love, it's always something along the lines of, they were so self-sacrificing, they would do anything for anybody, they would give the shirt off their back, they never said no to anybody. And we hear that and we see that and we're like, wow, they're an amazing person. And the speaker was like, why do we give reverence for martyrdom? Why are we giving reverence to someone who never said no, who never put up boundaries, who never put themselves first? Why do we see that as such a positive? Why don't we see boundaries and autonomy and independence as a good thing? And they didn't say this, but and discernment. The person didn't say this, but here's my thoughts on it. It's because there is so much selfishness in this world that it's like, it's a breath of fresh air when we see the opposite. But the opposite of selfishness isn't self-disregarding, it's boundaries.
Yeah.
It's intentionality, it's integrity, it's character. Mindfulness, exactly. In order to be a good person is not to disregard yourself or everybody around you. It's to know who you are. It's to be consistent in your energy and your character and the way that you show up. To know what you stand for and why. And in order to do that, you build self-trust over time through practice, through effort, through intentionality.
I'm going to leave everyone with a visual. And I said this in the video that I'm going to have RT link below in case anyone's interested in that. I gave the visual of, to your point, Bianca, we have a compound effect of self-betrayal, not trusting ourselves, doubting ourselves. And I want you to imagine just a wall, right? A wall. I'm looking at the wall in front of me, and just imagine there's like a ton of light switches. It's filled with light switches, right? Each individual one, but they're in a row. So kind of stacking on each other. I like that visual because every single day, with every micro decision, every time you trust yourself over letting a self-doubting moment control you, you're flipping the switch on, and that flips a light on in the room. And over time, when all of them have been, it's kind of like I picture Will Ferrell and Elf just on the elevator, like lighting up the buttons. It's like not that, but that's
Light
kind of what
up.
we've done. We have we've not pressed any of those buttons. If anything, we've like smashed them in with a hammer. So imagine every moment that you choose to trust yourself over doubting yourself, or you reframe a thought from self-doubt to self-assurance. Like those little micro moments, are you flipping on a light switch, or you pressing one of those buttons in the elevator? And over time, every single day, you can only do one switch per micro movement, but over time, if you can only hit one, eventually that compound effect will eventually have a whole wall full of light. And that wall represents the fact that it's not a quick fix. This doesn't happen overnight. It is incremental progress and a dedication, a devotion to yourself on flicking that switch of self-trust when you very well have this other hand that's coming in. This represents like all of your conditioned selves trying to put it down, right? You want to slap that and you want to flip the switch. And it's all in the little moments. And so if I can give that visual and it sticks with you, please light it up, to Bianca's words. And to that end, I just want to celebrate anyone that is listening to this and has been lighting it up, for lack of better words. And Bianca, I will make sure that you get some of that credit right here and right now, because I've been watching you and I've been by your side, really seeing you light up your own wall of magnificence. And it's really been quite a tremendous journey, because I know it's been hard, and every single switch, it doesn't show you on the other side how challenging it really is. But truly, life becomes so much brighter when you learn how and you consistently devote yourself to a practice, a routine of trusting yourself over doubting yourself. So keep doing it. Keep walking with us, and let's keep leading by example.
You ever seen the movie Santa Claus is Coming to Town? Old Christmas movie.
It sounds familiar. I don't know. Probably.
Oh, there's this cute song in there. Put one foot in front of the other. You ever heard that? No?
No, but it goes perfectly to this whole elf
soon
theme.
You'll be walking out the door. Cute movie.
Done. We'll have to link those down below as well.
All right. Anyways, my episode suggestion for this episode is 491, How to Create Space for Your Feelings.
Whoop, whoop. All right, Evolvers, if you want to get into a room of other Evolvers that are working on quite literally these skills, join us for Evolve Group Coaching. We only have this program once a year, and there's only 10 people that make it into this program. So if you're interested in enrolling, a 3-month program, bi-weekly, 9 growth sessions with 9 other members walking this path with you, we would love to have you. The link to register or get yourself on the wait list is down below. We would love to have you with us. And as always, thank you for your continued interest in the holistic science of mental health and well-being. We're grateful you're with us, and keep evolving.
Bye, everybody.